morning and good afternoon and good evening for all my friends around the globe. This is The Experiment. I'm your host, Joe Soro. And if this is the first time you're watching the show, comment, like, thumbs up, yell, scream, talk some smack. Just nothing, like really, really bad though. Like be normal. At least a little bit, and like be abnormal, like in a funny way, not in a weird way. And we've been getting a lot of that here today. I know I've been watching our channel on playback, and you had certain characters coming on there going, the other way, like what most people do online when no one's watching, that kind of stuff. So none of that here, guys. We are grown adults who like to have some fun, but we don't dark web things here. Okay, we're here to talk sports too. That's really our main objective here. Usually, I start off with kind of an opening here, but I do have some of my friends here early onto the show, so I'm gonna bring on Mr. Grice. Hello, Mr. Grice. Good afternoon. No, you're in Canada. It's actually good night right now.
No, you're wrong again.
It's actually good morning. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's 1:00 in the morning in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Canada.
Look, you and Gerald are so accustomed to, being up to like 11, maybe 12, right? Maybe 1, right? That's like 3 or 4 in the morning to me.
You know what, Sean? I don't think you should be up that late.
Health-wise, not good, Joe.
Yeah, it's never that circadian rhythm thing is legit, man. And I knew this years ago, right? When we didn't have the internet and all that, right? I would remember well there was the internet, but I did not as much information like it has now. But I remember I would sleep at 8:30, let's say, because for some reason the night before or whatever, I was dead tired. I stayed up all night or I was whatever. And then I'd sleep at 8:30, wake up at like 5:30, and I was like, man, I really slept good. And then I'm like, well, that was what, 9 hours? I'm like, okay. And then I would sleep at, I don't know, 11:30, wake up at 8:30, and I'm like, why do I still feel tired? So this stuff has been figured out already, man, by people that are much smarter than I am. You got to sleep early. That whole light versus dark morning thing, that thing is legit, man. Your body needs it.
The best time for most people is usually when you fall asleep between 11 and 11:30. That usually guarantees you at least 5-6 hours uninterrupted sleep.
It's when you can get into. I have a neighbor who sleeps at I think she'll sleep at 7:30 sometimes. But then I started thinking, those who sleep that early don't really do much. I go, what are you gonna do? What are you doing at 5 in the morning? But working, right? You're not getting up in the morning to just wake up in the morning, maybe to work out, but you're gonna go work, do whatever you do all day, come back, and then just sleep.
Right. I've thought about that too, Joe, but people on the West Coast, it's only like a slim, like maybe day traders, right? Because there's that time difference, or like you said, like the housewives, like those still exist, but they're like the freaking minority now. I don't know anybody in my life that has the job description as a housewife anymore. You need a 2 income to live in Canada.
It's like that here too.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. You need 2. And by the way, if you plan on collecting Social Security, think about maybe finding somebody else too, because you can't make it on your own.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm sorry, Lee. I'm sorry to all the educate. I have my master's, or I have my PhD. Well, good luck with that with your 8 cats when you're, 58 and single still.
We're gonna have to come back to this, but I will end it on this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just believe that there's a program that the masses, and it's not. I don't think it's anyone specific. I think it's several, things going on where they're taking those strings and they're just, and we're all supposed to just follow it, and some follow more than others. And those who are awake, call it the matrix, whatever you want to do it, aren't really awake either. I mean, we normal people still fall in line with the BS, and uh, sports is a big part of that. It's the distraction. Now, the sports for me is a competition thing. It's an enjoyment. I don't consider myself programmed to want to watch this. I'm watching it because I enjoy what it is, not because I'm being distracted by those working behind the dark curtain. I already know about this. Everybody knows. Anytime you already been called out, it's over. Like the ones that you got to worry about are the ones you don't even know about. Okay, if you think John Gotti was the man, how about the guy that you don't even know about? That's the guy that has the power. So you want to get all philosophical and ask reasons why and all that, no, that's not how it works. Okay. Let me get before we get on to the subject at hand. I'm gonna try to get to the comments real quick because last time because we have such a big audience starting to form here. I want to get to some of it real quick so I can jump off on the right foot here. Jeremy, good to see you, bud. Jeremy, for those of you who don't know, is one of our Aussie compadres. We have a huge global liking between here and the Lakers fast break. And we go from California to Toronto to the Gold Coast in Australia to the Philippines. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Jeremy, that you are correct about cortisol, but you need to finish that all the way through. Cortisol is good for us. You just have to use it properly. Studies have shown that when you work out between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning, that's when you can really regulate cortisol levels. And Joe, we need cortisol levels in the short term for stress.
Well, I know cortisol helped my shoulder
Yeah.
about 2 months ago. And there's going to be peptides I'm probably going to be taking here soon. I have some.
Joe. Okay, so we talk about this is great. I know I'm deviating a little bit, but
Well, it's called the experiment for a reason. So keep rolling.
Okay, so there, like when I think about truly like just differently athletic people in sports, there's only a few that come to mind, Joe. Only a few. Javon Curse is one because I was in high school when he was in his prime. He was a freak. He was called the freak for a reason. He's one. I would say Troy Polamalu is the other one I've seen. Those two guys. Bo Jackson, but I didn't see him in his prime. I saw Bo at the end. LeBron, Shaq. That's it. That's it, Joe. That's it. That's it for me.
Well, it's
Because
interesting.
I didn't see Babe Ruth. I didn't see Josh Gibson. I didn't see Walter Payton. Didn't see Jim Brown.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I actually was listening to John Smoltz on a I think it was on a podcast where he was explaining the pitchers and how they're going 5 innings and they still can't make it through, without injury. And Nolan Ryan was an example he brought. He said Nolan Ryan was a freak, expecting someone like Nolan Ryan, who played 27 seasons in Major League Baseball, with the ferocity that he pitched at. And the other thing about that is if you watch Nolan Ryan pitch, 90% of that power came from everything below his waist. You just watch him pitch, you're like, that's why his arm didn't turn into spaghetti. But that's the point, is he was that freak that could do that.
And yeah, you're right. You're right.
These teams are expecting to have a Nolan Ryan on every one of their rosters. That's not being very realistic.
You're gonna have 99% of
and that's what's happening.
Average, yeah, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I try and tell people too. Like when you're talking to them, it's a lock and key in the body. It really is. and it's different for everybody. Some people like you and LeBron, you have thick bones. So when you were uh, you know, drinking a lot of milk and ingesting a lot of calcium, I mean, you guys just exploded. Your bones, your joints, your muscles. But for most people, it's a plateau because it's a lock and key. Most people don't have that God given DNA. But when people say that, I almost think that it's become a cliche, Joe, but it's not because very few people have that special stuff.
And it's you realize it's different. And I know I've never taken anything, right? I know for sure. No one really knows except me. Even my parents or my wife, like they don't. No one really knows except me, right? So when you talk about some of these guys that are kind of freaks of nature, I always use the Matthews family as an example. How there isn't, the Bruce, the Clay Senior, and then their dad, like how long they played in the NFL and what
And their
they're made of.
durability
The
too,
durability. I
right?
mean, you're talking about Bruce Matthews, Hall of Fame offensive lineman who played every position on the line.
His back must be destroyed, Joe.
I don't know. I'd like to ask him. I had been talking about Jerry Rice too and Ray Lewis. Like I would love to talk to them and ask them like, how's your body? Like, are you guys okay? Because when I see Ray and Jerry, they look like they're walking normal. You could tell when someone is messed up. For example, Will Ferrell is now watching the show. Thank you, Will Ferrell. Will, I'm going to answer the Gilbert Arenas thing because I have a lot of funny things to say about that. But since we're kind of correlating with what we're talking about here, he's asking which one will I miss more, Ozzy or Hulk? Well, I grew up with Hulk Hogan. I was a wrestling kid. And when wrestlers pass away, a little bit of my childhood ekes further and further away. So I'd say Hulk Hogan was definitely ahead of Ozzy. And when you saw Hogan walk, you could visibly see he was debilitated. It was visible. You could see it. I haven't seen Ray Lewis look like that. I haven't seen Jerry Rice look like that. And I'm using Ray Lewis and Jerry Rice.
But we also got to realize, Joe, your 30s and 40s, and then the 50s come, and then the 60s come.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when everything starts to really slow down.
So we got to consider that, yes, because I think Jerry and Ray are still in their 50s.
I'm pretty sure.
So we'll I guess we'll have to wait for another 15 years to see how that plays out.
Because we saw what happened. God bless him. I hope he's free and resting. But Mongo, man, that guy wrestled and played offensive guard in the NFL and
defensive guard. Yeah, defensive tackle. No,
excuse me, DT.
Yeah, he did not go out. That's probably one of the few things that when you talk about count your blessings, because that could sneak up on you. ALS, there's been lesser impact on people's lives than Mongo that have gotten ALS. They had tried to figure out how Lou Gehrig got it, and they had some statistics about how he had a habit of, when he would steal bases, of hitting his head a lot more than normal. I couldn't believe that they actually kept that on record. That was kind of cool when they were talking about it. But a lot of that head stuff might, play a part in that. And I don't know. I don't know ALS if it's hereditary or what. But
it's funny you mentioned that, Joe. There are a couple studies that show combat sports and military service are linked to higher levels of ALS. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's something that
there's got to be a cut. They're going to try and find a commonality there, but we still don't know.
I feel like every time I hear that word, it's 15 years later, nothing's changed, but It is what it is. So Will Ferrell apparently wants to know how he can bag a black chick. Is Sharon on here? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've never bagged a black woman in my time. I've been married a while, so it's just kind of how it is. Although I'm an equal opportunity employer. If I had a opportunity to, I would. I just happened to grow up in areas where there weren't a lot of black people. I grew up in a dairy town in the Central California, Turlock, California, home of everyone's favorite football player, Colin Kaepernick. And then I moved to San Diego. So I was born.
Does his name still resonate like that even today?
His name was Bo. His name was Bo when we were growing up. When I heard Colin, I was like, why is he going by Colin? Bo is a better name. But especially for marketing purposes, right? But I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, but my parents moved when I was 2. And I don't really claim the suburb of Detroit. I visited, and I've gone there many a times to visit family, but I don't claim it. That's where the roots were born, but the roots were rooted. They were transferred to Turlock, California, and that's where they started growing. And then they got transplanted at full strength to Southern California. I've been there ever since. So there just hasn't been enough opportunity for me, Will. So I'm probably not the right guy to ask on that one, but I thought it'd be funny to bring it up. Jeremy, the reason we AMD our bodies wake up is rise to court. Okay, you already talked about that. Will Ferrell, thoughts on the Chargers versus Lions game tomorrow? Well, I'm just happy to see football. We're going to be talking a lot of football on this station, and I'm looking at some things there. I'm looking at some things in that game that are going to help my friends, because I have Charger fans on the right. And then, of course, I have family that are from Detroit on the left. So that'll be something where we'll have some stuff to talk about and some things to attend should they play in LA as well. Dodgers Insider, good to see you, bud. Basically, Mark, Olivia Munn could wind up in my bed and I couldn't do anything. You guys and your Asian women. I think you should look at chat more often. You and Empire Jeff tend to read behind often. Dodgers, we're here to talk, actually. The chat is a kind of like usually a secondary thing for people to kind of converse. And once in a while, obviously, they're going to ask questions, we're going to answer them. But really, we're here to entertain on the mic. So we'll do our best. I try to get on it quick. But really, at the end of the day, at some point down the road, this is not gonna be how it goes. It's going to get – we're going to have more people on here. And it's going to be impossible to fire on everything. Let's see here. Will Ferrell keeps – okay, so abilities of free chat. See, ability chat, keep talking, go on. That's something you better get better at, Joe. Gerald does it well. Gerald is – I am not Gerald, and Gerald is not me. But thank you for the advice. Thoughts on Shannon Sharp getting fired from ESPN. So the two dingleberries, since you mentioned Gilbert Arenas. Sean, you've been on enough shows to know how I feel about Gilbert Arenas and Shannon Sharp.
Yes, Joe.
And when you see the validation in that disdain, I'm not happy about it, but I want you to know that I know people. I know people. I am in people's homes almost every day. I'm not talking about people I know. I'm talking about strangers. It's my business. It's my job to go to people's homes, go to people's domiciles, go to people's businesses, and broker deals. And in doing that, what I'm doing the entire time is gauging the room, gauging the personality, gauging if it's a woman, if it's a man, if it's certain cultures that are there, everything. I am an observer. And that observation and those skills build over time, because what you try to do in anything in life, in my view, is you try not to waste time. Everything I do in my life is to limit wasted time. And there's nothing that will waste your time more than someone else. No one will waste your time more than someone else. So you have to get really good at knowing, is this person going to waste my time, or are they going to be worth my while? Because time is the only thing we can't get back. Every second that goes by, we can't get it back. Could always make more money. Could always buy a new car. Could always get more friends. Could always get married again, right? Like, I'm not saying I will. I'm just saying, like, those things can happen, but you can't get time back. So, with that, Shannon Sharp, Gilbert Arenas, these guys are the shaved ass parasites of society. The only reason why they're relevant is because they were professional athletes, elite athletes, and they have resources, and they've been because of that, they have been given this rank that they are important. They're not. They're actually trash. They're high class trash. I kind of.
So you're saying it's phony clout, Joe?
They're not. They're trash. They're garbage people. They're dirty people. Dirty is the best word I can put it. I had talked about this for years about the Kardashians, and I've had friends try to prop them up. Well, they're good business people, and they're this. I go, so was Hitler. Hitler was a good businessman. Hitler was a good leader to his people, quote unquote, right? He's still a piece of shit. Doesn't matter how good you are in business. They're garbage. They've taught society that garbage personalities, garbage lifestyles are a primary.
Isn't the only difference between Maxwell and Jenner that her Jenner's daughter was of age?
That's a whole different beast that I don't know enough information on.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have hedonism, and I'm not a priest, folks, okay? I'm not a priest. I don't go to church every Sunday. I'm not that guy. But when you are gloating about being a pig, you're trash to me. Okay? There's things that should be private. They should be private. Those are private things. You want to talk about sports? You want to throw a couple of jokes here and there? Hey, we're about that too. Hey, we're virile men too. We like to talk about girls and women and all that, but there's some class that still needs to stay in there. And recording yourself doing things on quote unquote accident and then just doing whatever it is that he keeps doing is to me is just. And I've never really liked Shannon Sharp, to be honest with you. You put it best, Sean. I don't think I could have put it better. Is there's this aura of fakeness behind those guys, and if you press them, you would be able to crush them pretty quick. And what usually happens with people like that is people will kiss their ass because they will either want something for them or they want to be around someone that is noticeable. So imagine this. No matter how successful you are, no matter how rich you are or how popular you are, imagine someone coming to your face that you can't buy, that won't put up with your BS and tells you who you are. Because they can't now buy you. What are they going to do? They're going to talk back? Oh, you're a piece of shit. You're whatever. I'm like, you don't even know me. I know who you are. What do you know about me? I got receipts too, but mine is private. Mine is not in the public. So there's nothing you can say to me that's going to be derogatory. What are you going to say to me? All I know is you have how many kids with different women? How many?
Shannon Sharp?
Yeah, he's got a lot, right? He's a man whore.
I think he's got 3.
3 more than you should have, in my view. You know, and I'm very when it comes to sensitivity, I'm very sensitive to kids being taken care of. When kids are growing up in separate, different lives like that, because you can't help yourself from protecting yourself and just keep seeding the world. To me, I have zero respect for you.
And Joe, I feel you 100% on that, and a lot of people do too. But I'm also looking at it from a different point of view, because being an older brother, I'm looking at it from Sterling's point of view, and just privately, he'd be disappointed in him. I'm an older brother. I can.
That's the weird thing about that.
He would be disappointed in him.
That is the weird thing. Yeah, because I don't see any of that in Sterling
Sharp. I respect Sterling Sharp immensely.
Yes, I do too. And it's weird that those guys are brothers. And Shannon loves his brother, which is very
You
endearing
would
to
think
me.
me and my brother are weird than being brothers too.
Him loving his brother is something that that's like the one thing that I do like about Shannon, is that how tight he is with his brother. That's something that's always important when you're tight with your siblings. I know some people.
I know they have a sister too.
Yeah,
They're all close.
but I'm just I don't condone this. It's a classless, it's dirty garbage.
It is, Joe. You feel conflicted because he's been in the news a lot with women, and I'm not sure
if you're
why.
an adult star, if you're an adult actor, and that's your business, I'm going to be less harsh on you. You're already out in the public. You already serve an occupation to things. It makes sense a little bit. But then when you have this guy coming around, acting like he's some kind of whatever, and really he's just dirty and trashy. I don't feel like that needs to be out there in my view.
Right, and Joe, a lot of people, I would say, like at least 4 out of 5 people would probably agree with you and have the same feelings. And I just want to disagree a little bit with. Um, I heard a commentator. Now, normally he's very sharp, and I like what he says. But Marcel Swiley, I thought, was a little off base, Joe, when he said the public was judging Sharp's behavior in his relationship. I mean, if someone's of legal age, you're consenting adults. You do what you want. That being said, there's also the logical aspect of that, where you see that he was thinking with his little head, Joe, not his big head. Because if there's a 37-year age gap, Joe, I'm sorry, like I'm of the age now where if I date a woman, I need there's a cutoff. There's a cutoff for me, Joe. There's a cutoff. Now, for some men, it's different. That being said, you're 37 years older than somebody else. You should have a lot more wisdom and have a clue about what's going on instead of having a good time, Joe, and not thinking clearly because you're clouded by something else. And what you said is true. I mean, this guy probably has mirrors on his ceiling like Alex Rodriguez. They love each other so much.
And we wouldn't have a discussion. We wouldn't be having this discussion unless they got popped, right? I don't think about.
Literally.
I change the channel, or when I'm flipping through things, I flip quick when it comes to Gilbert Arenas, Shannon Sharp. The second I see him on ESPN, I change the channel. Skip Bayless.
You don't need to pay attention to
there are pure trash.
Knuckleheads, yeah.
They're trash. And even that schmuck got accused of some stuff. And I know that there's a lot of opportunists out there, but see, here's the thing. When you're loud, and I can be loud too. I'm loud too. Everyone knows this that watches the show. I'm loud on the show, but I'm not loud outside the show. I don't go hang around with people I don't know. I don't go hang around with the lady at Ewing's Supply Center, even though I see her every day, right? I don't do that. I hang around my friends. I hang around with family like that. I trust no one, and I'm not even a celebrity. So if you think I'm not going to be guarded around a shield if I was famous, whoo! I'd still walk outside without bodyguards and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but that's outside, right? If I'm going to have a massage, you damn well better believe there's going to be surveillance in there. There is no way there isn't going to be a surveillance. It's going to be, hello, I need your best masseuse. By the way, I need a massage. And there's going to be about 15 cameras in there. Oh, and there's going to be 2 people there from whatever building security is there. Oh yeah, I don't mess around with that. No one's getting me. You'd have to knock my ass out, throw me in a freaking brothel, and me waking up like that schmuck in Godfather 2. Senator.
Does Will Ferrell? Do you mean Genty? Ashton Genty?
Yeah, I think he's just into you.
No, he will not. He will not. If I had a favor right now in the pace car, it'd be JJ McCarthy.
The issue with pitchers now is that the analytics tell them to pitch harder and harder. Not only harder and harder, but with more movement on top of it. And they have a pitch clock, and they can't put anything on the ball, which means they're barely able to grip that sucker the right way and spin it with anything on it. It's dry. It's a recipe for disaster. Not everyone is Nolan Ryan. Many pitchers also have had bad form when they were pitching. Yep, all of them had bad form. Almost all of them have bad form at this point compared to Nolan Ryan. Joe, did you see that guy did in the Manhattan thing? Dodgers Insider. I know this guy's screwing with us now. Of course I saw. What do you think I've been doing all week? Sitting in a hole in the middle of nowhere? Curry clears Kobe. Hey, Curry clears Kobe. What's up, bud? Welcome, Magic Man. Sean Costa. Where's Costa, by the way? He's been MIA lately.
I don't look like a Costa. I'm sorry.
Hulk Hogan was iconic in the 80s and the 90s. He had a complicated persona. Well, here's the thing with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan made one major mistake. Besides the affair thing with whatever was going on, obviously that was pretty bad. But that surveillance with him dropping the ERs, I don't think he was a bad guy ever. I think ultimately he was a good dude. But the problem with talk like that is it's like a sign of a weasel. Like just the whole subject that was going on with that with the ER. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Who knows what he says, right? When the camera's not there, right? That's what that is. It's not. It's more than just making a mistake. That's not a mistake. I hate when people say he made a mistake. No one is perfect. You're right. No one is perfect. But that's a personality alarm. That's what that is.
Did you feel the same way about Fuzzy Zeller when he said that stuff?
If you didn't think Fuzzy Zeller talked like that without the camera, then you're kind of at least just. I know we don't want to judge people, but come on, Fuzzy Zeller. You think that guy's not that guy behind the scenes?
Like he did everything but say that word. He did everything but say that word. And by the way, he's like that's how bad of a that's how awful it was.
It's not. Look, I grew up around closet racism. It was never taught in our house to be like that. However, I come from a culture where my culture didn't like anybody. They wanted to preserve the culture. That's what it was. They didn't really like anyone, and the further away it was from the culture, the more it was kind of shunned against. But it's bigotry anyways. It doesn't matter what you want to call it, whether it's culture or not. There was bigotry in that. Now, as I got older, my sister and I would kind of hear certain things uncles would say. Once in a while, my dad would say, God rest his soul, it's ignorant stuff. And it was towards everyone. But a lot of that culture stuff can kind of align, by the way. You can't deny it either. There's a culture thing sometimes that align. In my business, I've said this a few times, where certain frugalness comes from certain, like, let's say Middle Eastern people like me, like my people, they're a little bit more frugal, right? Why? Indian people are more frugal generally as well, because those cultures come from a very, very, for centuries and centuries of poor culture. So when they come and they have something, they want to, keep it. But when you go to that length and you're caught, I don't think he's a bad guy, but it's just one of those things where I would never trust him. That's what that's what it did. Is it you can't trust him, because I've never said anything like that. I mean, I've said the ER before, but not in a sense of like that guy. I've said it in discussion, because if I did, I'd be insulting one of my best friends. Can't do it. You can't. That's a weird paradox. I don't know. I never got it. I never understood it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because
it's important. It's important to talk about it. It's important to talk about it.
Well, yeah, because Joe and Gerald Fanboy had a question about how you feel about gay family members. Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it. Okay, one of my best friends is a lesbian, and she got married this summer. I attended the wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony. And I don't judge people what they do with their bodies.
Yeah, that's.
I don't care. As if you're not inflicting or proselytizing your beliefs or your values on other people or their children. Salute.
Well.
Do you?
Well, the thing is, I'm an observer of culture. I'm not really going to look at your face or your lifestyle. What's the culture of your life? Like, how do you conduct yourself? And I don't know how else I can explain it. I'm not going to sit here and give you a list of why I like what or why I don't like something else. I think that's stupid.
It's your right.
Yeah, I mean, I've said them all. I've said them all. But context, you've heard me say this word plenty of times. It's about context. What is it? Are you really, really offended by a joke? Okay, you're offended by a joke. Guess what? I'm not going to be talking to you anymore, because you're soft and you're stupid. Context. Pay attention to context. If there's something that is truly offensive, and I say it, you should. It's usually obvious. So some people don't like to hear certain things. Some do, from the same culture. That I respect, and that's kind of how that goes. Let me get back into the. Let me get back into baseball. Will Ferrell's back. Who would you rather have on your team in a bar fight, Mark McGuire or Manny Machado? Mark McGuire. Machado's not really a fighter. Football will be barely recognizable in 50 years. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I don't know. Aaron, absolutely. Hulkamania will live forever. What Hulk stood for was an upbringing of something good. I'm not comparing him to this guy. He's nowhere near this guy by a mile. Okay, as bad as the discussion we just had about him was, he's still not this guy. But Hulk Hogan and Bill Cosby in the 80s were templates for strong masculine values. Okay, so you had America's Dad, and you had the testosterone, the man, the ultimate like in power in terms of Hulk Hogan, and he helped raise a lot of kids with that. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and when you talk about Mount Rushmore, I don't. There's been a lot of that talk. Who's Mount Rushmore of wrestling? If you don't have Hulk Hogan in there, you have zero credibility. Not even if you put Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Rock, and Austin in there, you still are not. You're zero. Hulk Hogan, in a lot of ways, is wrestling, and I know Steve Austin did something for the business, especially financially, that might have gotten over on Hulk as well. But Hulk Hogan dominated in both eras also. He owned the 80s, and he was a big part of the Attitude Era as well. That shift played a huge factor in the best era of wrestling in its history. Hulk Hogan is on Mount Rush. It should be on everyone's Mount Rushmore. My if I had to pick four, it'd be Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Steve Austin. I know you're leaving out The Undertaker and The Rock and Shawn Michaels, which is really hard, but those are the four, guys. Those are the four. There's only four that you can put on there. Those are the four. And it's going to be, you're going to be hard pressed to beat those guys. Bloodhound, Turlock, California, home of Joe Sor. Hey, Bloodhound, you've heard, I'm sure you've heard me. I grew up with the Kaepernicks. I was close with the family, man. He was a kid at the time. JY, will experts ever be able to determine CT on a living person? I'm sure at some point science will catch up to it, but I don't know.
No.
Thoughts on? So this was his
question. You'd have to actually get a specimen out of a live brain.
What the hell? Why is this clicking? Oh, there you go. Thank goodness I'm not Joe, and he won't read this for 20 minutes. Ha ha ha! I read it in under 5 minutes. Punk. What time? Yeah. Hold on. What was it? Oh wait, he's right. He's right.
20 minutes?
23 minutes.
Gerald, right again.
Hold on. Joe Sora, thoughts on Coach JB from Last Chance U? I didn't watch that 30 for 30 all the way through. I'll have to watch it. Joy Taylor's Knockers. Absolutely Will Ferrell. And as a matter of fact, I'd love to do a show with Joy. I would love to do a show with her. Because I want to see how smart she is on sports. And that's another one, Sean, where I have a lot of respect for her brother. That's what keeps me there a little bit. Let's see here. Otani was proven clean by the Fed. So this is something that I've been having to talk to a lot of people about outside the show. Folks, I have one of my best friends who's a Fed. He lives in New Mexico. His primary area of expertise is cybersecurity. And of course, he is in and around. He's, Quantico. He's done the whole thing. I asked him, I said, I know that the FBI could be crooked. I know the CIA can be. I know these places can be crooked. I'm not saying that they're not crooked, but I go, what are the chances that they would be crooked on something like this? He goes, 0. He goes, this has nothing to do with national security or some political stuff going on. If Shohei was guilty of anything, his ass would have been done. Now, I want you guys to really, really, really understand this, because some of you might have not been born, or you were too young. Pete Rose in 1990 was as popular a baseball player as you'll ever be in the history of sports. Pete Rose was huge. He was the modern day Ty Cobb +1, but without
the racism.
The racism, right? And the crazy,
spiking your hand.
Yeah. Okay. Pete Rose was baseball. Pete Rose was huge. He was playing and managing. That's how big he was. And he got busted. And not only did he get busted, he got busted forever. If Shohei had gambled, they would have busted his ass. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. For anybody who listens, I'm going to have Gerald cut this short. Gerald, I need you to cut this part in a short and send it out there so that people can hear it. Joe, I saw you at Spirit. I've never been there. I've been at Sapphires in Vegas, though. In what was it, 2012? Somewhere around there. My buddy was getting married. I was his best man. He wanted to go to this special pool thing over there by MGM, and then he wanted to go to Sapphires in Vegas. So
I got a story about that, but it's not good for this channel or Gerald. So
We'll talk about it off air. Sora, if you ever wanted to debate Kobe versus Curry, we can set a date sometime. Yeah, I can do that, Curry. I can do that. Let's talk about that let's talk
see,
about that.
you're coming correct here. Costa came at Joe with a lot of aggression, with that Jordan. With that Jordan LeBron debate, he was really it was kind of like watching Street Fighter where Dalsum and Ken are fighting, and Dalsum thinks he's got Ken, but Ken's the number one. Joe's Ken, so Ken is the number one fighter in Street Fighter, Joe.
Yes.
So
could be Ryu though too.
It could be Ryu.
But they're like the same character anyway.
Yeah, yeah, except one's blonde and one, yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's kind of what that was like. This is a little different. Come correct. You could have a good conversation.
Will Ferrell again. Will, thank you for being here. Tell Vince Vaughn, hey, come on the show, man. Let's talk a little bit. We know Vince Vaughn can talk. Joe, do you know Angela White, Sky Bree or Bry? Is that Bry or Bree? Sky Bry? Valentina Nappy? The fuck is that? The fuck is it, Valentina Nappy? I think I've seen Lena Paul's name somewhere. Angela White. How many Angela Whites? I knew an Angela White Smith growing up.
Joe, stop being fucking coy.
I know who Lena. I know who Lena.
Yeah,
Paul is.
yeah, of course you do.
The other three, I don't know who they are. I'm assuming it's the same business now.
Well, I like the touch, smell, taste. I'm not gonna get into it of a real woman. I don't.
So okay, look here. Let's.
Unlike Cool Bro, I don't have I don't have 5 AI girlfriends.
I grew up knowing adult stars more in the 90s and maybe early 2000s in my adolescence. So obviously Jada Jameson.
Who, by the way, looks horrible today.
Yeah, the plastic surgery and drugs don't usually help.
Well, and being married to Tito Ortiz will do that to a woman.
They had twins too, huh?
They did. They had children together.
Yeah, man, that's just kids, man. They had no shot there. Who else was the one that I heard? Sylvia Saint, Brianna something. I forgot her last name. Brianna Banks. Brianna Banks. So those are the adult film stars I remember. Those are the ones I remember from back in the day, and very beautiful women, by the way, when they were in their prime. Now I think I know who they are, and I'll probably remember. I'll remember these names not forever. Joe Soro for mayor. Ooh, I could be mayor of this town where I'm at in Winchester.
You think he could get the votes, Joe?
Oh yeah, a small town like this, I think I could do it here. But as far as big cities, no, I wouldn't last. Joe, if Magic Man was in a fight with 10 6'10" black men.
What am I in a black? Am I in a
would
black?
You fight with him even if it caused
Is Joe and Joe
that's how it works.
like put me in like a black film or something?
Yes. You have to back up your boys. That's how it works. I think I found Theo Vaughn's cousin. Can you tell me how that guy's famous?
No, I cannot.
Should the Dodgers trade Dustin May? They're not. They're not going to trade him. All that talk was bullshit. They're not going to trade him. They should. Why? They're going to start putting him in the bullpen, and they're going to use him as a relief pitcher probably in the playoffs at best. So I would keep him where he is. They need as much pitching as they can before they get into the playoffs and do whatever it is they're going to do. And I'm gonna get to that now. We've been experimenting in other subjects, which is again part of the show. For those of you, I'm sorry if you just came here for Dodger information. I'm sorry, but we do both. And if you're adamant about hearing something, just be honest and just hit us up right away and let me know. But the Dodgers right now, I've been conversing with EJ, my boy EJ, Empire Jeff, last few days. EJ's always tries to keep things on an even keel and positive, and I'm kind of been trying to stay there as much as I can, and I'm not really all the way from that either. I'm not all the way away from that. But what's come to a realization right now, we're 4 months in. This team is not looking like an all-time great team. They may be in first place. They may still be in a position to do what they need to do to win the division, but this was not how I thought this was going to play out. I thought we were looking at a 106 to 108 win team. Right now, they're on pace for, I think, 93 wins. Might be down to 92 now after the loss today. Loss today was a real punch in the face, man. Pages misses that third out in foul territory. I think he might have lost the ball and jumped too early and then ended up kind of messing up his angle, and then it ended up coming out of his glove. And then Outman almost robs. I mean, he looked like Ken Griffey Jr. on that. Almost robs the grand slam. He actually robbed the home run, but he couldn't catch the ball. Scored on that, and they had 2 runs score on that. That was pretty much the end of the game. They did score another run, but that was pretty much the end of the game. But as far as how things have played out, you're looking at the guys that, from top to bottom, other than Will Smith, and you can't deny that Ohtani's having a ridiculous year, but that's how great Ohtani is, that this guy can hit 38 home runs and 73 RBIs before July is done. And the strikeouts have been very, very bad. He has been horrible at seeing the ball lately.
What's his plate appearance to strikeout ratio? Like 1 to 4,
I'll tell you what it was last
5?
year. I'll tell you what it was last year. Last year, he played, I think, 159 games, and he struck out 162 times.
Okay.
So he's essentially striking out every game. This year is worse. And is it just focused on slugging? Because analytics say slugging is more important than hitting 300. So is that how he's approaching the game? Is that where he's going? He's on pace. He's on pace to be one of 2 players in the modern game to score 150 runs. Only Jeff Bagwell has done it. He did it in 2000. Before then, it was like everybody from the late 1800s. Everything seemed to be in the 30s, No one scored 150 runs in a single season except him and Bagwell. Acuna had 149, I think, a few years ago. But 150, he's on pace for 152
And then you'd have to go back to like 18.
No, seriously, when you look at the list,
for like Mordecai Brown or
when you look at the list, it's all those guys like Mordecai Brown. What's another good biblical name?
Honus Wagner,
Nicodemus Smith. Like it's like 18. It's not even. It's like 1886. It's not even like 1890. It's 1886.
What kind of fucking gloves did you use in 1886?
Pigskin, sheepskin gloves. Who knows?
Can you even move it? Like, I cut the ball. Like, do you snow cone it every time you catch it with that?
I just want to give them. I want to give them props for keeping those records. Those are pretty specific records. Good for them. But yeah, so you're sitting there looking at Ohtani and just say, okay, well, I'll give Ohtani some room here. He's just slugging his way into probably another MVP. Plus, he's pitching, right? But Mookie Betts is having a bad year, which, recently we found out that his stepdad passed away. I think that might have messed him up this last few months, and that's just the way it is. Freddie is kind of sort of coming back. But more than that is their feel isn't there. I don't feel like their feel is there at all. Like if they're gonna hit, they're hitting. If they're gonna need to pitch, they're not pitching. Like it's just they're not in sync. That's the word I was thinking of. They're not in sync. It's either they're pitching, they're giving up runs at the worst possible time, and they're not scoring enough runs, or they're hitting a lot of runs in, but then the pitching completely falls apart. They allow like 8 runs. It's like that's how it's been. Looking at the record, this last, what was it, since July, basically since the beginning of the month. This is how they started after on July 4th. Loss. They lost 7 in a row since July 4th. Then they played San Francisco, finally won the next two, or they lost the first game in that series, and then they won the next two against San Francisco and San Francisco. And then the second half starts. And then they lost again to Milwaukee. And then they went 2 of 3 in Minnesota or against Minnesota, lost the series to Boston, and then should have had a sweep in this series and lost a lost the game that they should have had. Should have had a sweep. So they've been terrible. It's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They've lost 14 games since July 4th. That's not great teams don't lose like that. So unless something changes,
yeah, well, I'm only bringing that because Aaron said there wasn't gloves in the 1880s. So I thought, well, that might be true. Let's look it up. 1875. The very first buckskin glove, Joe. And it was
buckskin.
And it was a dude from Harvard University, a catcher.
Oh man. So yeah,
first glove.
No, that I think we know that things have changed. We're not dumb.
So the baseball glove is 150 years old this year.
Things have changed immensely, but I think the core parts of baseball have always been there.
That's a fruit roll up, not a glove. That's what I thought it looked like too.
Who did more coke, WWE wrestlers or Dennis Rodman back in the day?
Oh wow, what a question!
I don't think Dennis did coke when he was playing basketball. I don't think he did, because that would have been I guess I don't know. Was the testing rigorous in the 90s? I don't remember.
I don't.
I know it wasn't in the 80s.
No, the only wrestler who was like extremely like hyper jacked up energy wise all the time that I never suspected was ever on drugs was Bob Backlund. He was the only one though. The only one.
Mm-hmm. I think Hogan confirmed that too. Where are we here? Joe Soro, what's your order at the bar?
Yeah, what is your order at the bar, Joe?
It depends on my mood. So I'll usually go Captain and Coke. Sometimes I'll go vodka, Tito's vodka and Sprite. Sometimes I'll go Honey Jack and Coke. And then once in a great while, I'll do vodka and Red Bull. And if it's a good place for beer, I'll order what's there. Usually a blonde. Some kind of a blonde. Tiffany. Oh, shoot, Tiffany. We don't know if this chick is a woman too. Hi, Joe. I'm a black woman. I don't believe you, Tiffany. You're going to have to show me a picture. Or somehow prove that it's you. Like a social media and it's you. But I'll read your comment. Hold on. I'm a black woman. I prefer guys like you over Magic Man. Very macho men. Oh, God. You don't think Sean is a macho man? The guy chops wood in Canada. How much more manly do you want? The guy wears half sleeve shirts in 30-degree weather. That's a man. That's how they do it. Oh man,
it's friggin' hot right now.
Joe, I thought you were Latino, not Middle Eastern. People have thought I was Latin. Most people think I'm Italian. I have the characteristics of that region because it's a very similar.
The peninsula.
Yeah, that peninsula. It's a very similar culture. My Middle Eastern culture is very similar, almost identical to the Italian culture in terms of how we enunciate, how we talk. Skin wise, look wise, we're Catholics. We're that 3% part of that region that's Christian. So yeah, it's been kind of that. I'm ambiguous like that. I can look Latin, I can look although technically Italians are like a Latin anyways.
Well, it's like somebody like we have a few Egyptian friends, right? It's whenever somebody says, "Well, Egyptian people are an African," and it makes you want to scratch your head. But I mean, we both went to school in the same country.
I don't look like my I don't look like my people either, like the people I grew up with. And I had assumed that something went somewhere when back in the day, and my sister did one of those 23andMe's or the ancestry things, right? And my sister's blonde blue eyes too, by the way, like completely different look than me, right? And she did one of those ancestry things. She goes, "Bro, we are 100%." I'm like, "Really?" We're like Conan O'Brien. Like when they did his, he was 100% Irish. Like it was 100%.
Well, your last name's O'Brien.
Right.
What are you gonna do, man?
And like 100%. So she sent me the demographic or whatever it was, and we were right in that Cyprus area, like right there, and there was nothing outside that area. There wasn't any traveling to Norway. There wasn't any traveling to any of the Scandinavian countries. Nothing. It was straight up like I'm the last of the full breeds. But again, the gangster movies growing up, because the cultures were so similar, the responses to things were so similar. Like there's lines in with Joe Pesci and De Niro, like, what warm it up? There's a scene right after they kill Maury. Sorry if that's a spoiler for you guys who haven't seen Goodfellas. If you haven't seen Goodfellas, you should slap yourself in the face. You kill Maury, and Carbone, who's driving the car, is like, "I gotta warm it up," and Joe Pesci's like, "What warm it up?" Like that was a staple in my house when we would say something, and my dad would be like, "What? You're going outside? Get out of here! Like you're not gonna go outside." Like that's how we spoke in the house. Let's see. Different if you have kids like Joe. I don't even know what they're talking about. Joe not letting gay people come near his kids. That's not true. I have an uncle who's gay. And one of my very, 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 very good friends who's a contractor like myself is a lesbian. So, and I talk to her every day. So yeah, not here. I'm not going to give you guys a list, even though I just sort of did. Hulk stood for steroids. Joe and Gerald fanboy, 90% of athletes use steroids in some form or fashion. Does Warren Sapp have SCTE? I wouldn't doubt it. Dodgers pissed me off tonight. Dodgers pissed off everyone tonight. Today made me confident we go back to back. How the hell did today make you feel confident we're going to go back to back?
Whatever you're on, Dodgers Insider, I want to.
Miss the 80s and 90s. Everyone's so sensitive now. Great show, Experiment. Yeah, Drip. By the way, Drip with another gem of a shirt. And, of course, the poster that I always show. Anyone who wants to get his gear, meet Drip Show. And he'll take care of your clothing needs and your apparel needs the best. John Cena is a better role model. I wouldn't doubt that.
You mean when he made Nikki Bella sign a contract about being a guest, even though they were knocking boots, and he had rules stipulating what she could and couldn't do in his home, and his apology, by the way, in Mandarin, in perfect Mandarin, to a group of wrestling fans that apparently were somehow irked show that he mentioned Taiwan in one of his interviews. I'm a good guy. I'm just saying everybody just blemishes to us all, Joe. They're
well. Let me put it this way. John Cena, doesn't he have the record for most Make-A-Wish appearances?
He does.
Well, Hogan was the first one to do.
Yeah.
Like he was big on that too. So if you're talking about him being a good role model as the character, he was there. Hulk Hogan and John Cena have never done anything bad that would to the point where you'd call these guys pieces of garbage like a Bill Cosby or an R. Kelly or Puff Daddy or any of those scumbags. They may have skewed ways of doing things and skewed views of things, but in the end, they were actually good people. They did a lot more good than bad. Same thing with Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong raised $1 billion for cancer. Now, I don't know where all that money went, but it was, in his situation, for the right reasons, right? Let's raise money for cancer. So, yeah, that's the way it is. Hulk Hogan was a big deal. He was wrestling to the general populace. He was the wrestler, and he still is. I remember you saying, Joe, that you were friends with Colin's brother. Yeah, Kyle and I were really tight. We were really tight for a while, and I loved their dad, Rick, and Teresa. Their mom was great, and I didn't know Devin, the sister, much because she was still kind of young. But they were a really fun family. It was like, because they were from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, I kind of felt like I was around a Lombardi thing because I loved Lombardi. They were huge Packer fans. And there was this Wisconsin thing that was 100%. They were 100% Wisconsin. And you felt like, man, I love football. And here's a family that's like from the Mecca of football. And they love football. Went to Wisconsin games with them, went to NFL games with them, and an absolute delight of a family. And
oh, you did the jump around with House of Pain, Joe?
I think I have before, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't remember when. Gil Arenas has his name in big letters on the poker tables at his illegal gambling den. He is so stupid. Arenas, Marcus Morris, and Shannon Sharp trifecta. The Marcus Morris thing is weird. I don't know what to make of that. I can't tell if he was defiant or stupid. You don't. If you've watched Ocean's 11, the Andy Garcia role, that's true. That's how those guys. You can't rip off a casino; they'll find you.
Okay, Joe. Let me ask you a question. Just because you are a good observer of human behavior.
Sure.
What percentage of gambling encompasses alcohol, Joe? What percentage? Put a percentage on it. So many percent, 80%. I mean, they're obliged to give you free alcohol. Correct?
That is, yeah. From what I know, yes. The only thing I think parking is the only thing that they've screwed up in Vegas really bad.
So that's interesting.
I don't think
we know for a fact. This is a fact that alcohol disrupts the frontal lobe of your brain. That's where logic and judgment come from, Joe. And then you throw in a gambling habit with that.
I don't.
It's like dopamine on a roller coaster, brother. You know that.
If it plays a factor, a dramatic factor, I don't ever hear about it. I only hear about the gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't hear, oh, this alcoholic was gambling, and because you can't concentrate when you gamble drunk. So I don't think most compulsive degenerate gamblers want to be drinking because they got to focus on winning. Those who are drinking to have fun those who are there to gamble and have fun drink. Yes, yeah. Let's put it on.
You can lose track of how much you've had to drink when you're at those machines.
I think that would be a good research thing to find out. Is alcohol really playing that big of a role in the gambler? Joe, do you think a certain caliber of men can get away with cheating on their women, like LeBron, like Curry, other high-level rich athletes, where women is benefiting so much? Yes, 100%. 100%, because some of the women will be they'll be in on it, so there won't be any you won't find out.
Shawnee was okay with it. Shawnee's kind of the first one.
So Remember Andre Karolinko?
Yeah.
His wife would let him have one extra something every year. That was kind of the arrangement.
I know, geez, you couldn't hold me to that. Being in Russia with surrounded by all those models, Joe.
Well,
no way.
I'm gonna go on my little high horse here. It's gonna sound like a high horse, but it's not. It's just, look, man. I'm gonna keep it simple. It's not a high horse, actually. If I want to keep banging around, I'm not getting married.
Mm-mm.
That's simple.
Mm-mm.
Sorry. It's not a marriage. Open marriages, whatever that is. I don't believe in that. You want to do that? That's on your. Hey, if you're cool with it and your wife's cool with it, hey, that's your life, right? I'm not gonna really say anything negative on that. That's not my business. That's not my business. But to me, that's not a marriage. It's a joke. Baseball killed Rose's career. They would have gone after Ohtani if he was complicit. I know that played a factor in it. I know that baseball people didn't like Rose. His own teammates didn't like Rose. Man, I wonder what he did to piss off Johnny Bench. Let's see. Joe, what does it say about Luka that he said he drew inspiration from Kobe and MJ and not LeBron? It's interesting. Luka's been quoted saying LeBron was his idol, but then when it came down to being Team Jordan versus Team LeBron, he went with Jordan. I think Luka is a respectful person. I think he will compliment people versus being probably more honest. And that's just his personality. He was on the Today Show, wasn't he, today? Talking to Al Roker and those guys. Very, very nice. Very nice interview. I only listened to about 5 minutes of it. Luka, while Luka will never be better than LeBron, Luka's more like Kobe and MJ in terms of their mental game. LeBron is different. So it would make sense if he ventured more into MJ and Kobe, because he's more of that killer type mentality. That's how his game is. But even though he has that, he's not going to be LeBron. He would never be LeBron. LeBron is just too athletically freakish to just set him aside in that. He can't. LeBron is, how do I put this? They're both triple-double machines, but LeBron has athleticism at his peak that Luka will never touch, and Luka has a decade here to at least put himself in a position where he'll have the mental part above LeBron by winning more championships. That killer instinct. And I don't need him to do that. I don't really care about that. If LeBron James is the third best Laker of all time, when it's all said and done, it's not going to happen. It's you still have Kareem and Shaq.
Well, Kobe. The three best players of their generation have revealed themselves already. It's Tatum, SGA, and Luka. Now, out of those guys, who's going to be considered the GOAT of this group?
Not counting a big? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, there is no big to count amongst this group.
You're not counting Jokic?
Jokic was 2014.
Are you talking about?
I'm talking about these guys in their era. Jokic was a little bit before these guys.
Okay. I still say, even right now, even with Tatum with a title and SGA with a title, I think I'd still pick Luka over any of those three. Any of the other.
I mean, you could throw Ant in there too, but
look at
those three. The three guys I mentioned have taken their teams to finals.
And guys, I had picked Luka to win the MVP last year, before all this stuff, before he became even close to being a Laker. And had he not busted his calf, he probably would have won it. So I've always liked Luka. I always thought Luka had something that was amazing. So it's just, now that he's a Laker, it's going to look like I'm throwing homerism on there. Let's see. Will Ferrell is very knowledgeable about OF. Otani was removed as a pitcher from Wednesday's game versus Cincinnati due to lower body cramps. It was very hot in Cincinnati today.
It's been hot on the
It was 73. It was 73 humidity today in Cincinnati.
It's too hot.
Yeah,
it's too hot.
Jesus, those are prostitutes. Sorry, I won't ask any more questions. Thank you for your time, Joe. I never said anything that. Lisa Ann, wow. I do know who Lisa Ann is. She is she played Sarah Palin in the other movies. Sylvia Saint, Joe, you're well versed. Yeah, Sylvia Saint. I remember seeing her years ago, 20 years ago, and I said, why is this woman in adult movies? That is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen. And it wasn't just her looks, it was her. I heard her in an interview. I'm like, oh, why? Why did you go into adult movies? I would have made myself at that time an agent just to put you in real movies. Oh, gorgeous woman. Gorgeous. Suarez to the Mariners. Yeah, so it looks like the Diamondbacks said, peace. We're done already this year. They know they're not going anywhere. Now, whether that's going to matter in the end for Seattle, I think Seattle's, 5 games back right now in the Central?
West, yep.
West?
They're trying to catch the Astros.
They're going for it. Good for them. They gave up some good stuff for them, but I wish them the best.
Well, the big thing there is, at least from my point of view, is Suarez doesn't go to the Tigers or the Yankees. He would have helped both of those teams.
Going to the Tigers would have been a game changer. Are we going streaking? My famous line from what movie? Of course, it's old school. Will Ferrell, come on. How confident are you about Dodgers winning this year, Joe? Not as confident as I was a month ago. Joe, give a blame pie for why the Dodgers season isn't going well. Blame pie is an entire team. It's not going to anybody. I don't know what's going on with they're not in sync. They're just not. They're not playing. They're not playing good baseball. They're not playing great baseball that they should with all the depth that they have. What's the problem? Is it coaching? I don't think it's management. I think that last game yesterday, I thought was one of the more brilliant calls on a game with by Roberts in terms of how he was shifting the pinch hitters and also the pinch runners. I've had really not a big problem with Dave Roberts this year. You could say maybe he's not motivating him enough, but I think that's like asking Tom Landry to become Bill Parcells. We can't expect that to be how he does things. That's not his personality. This is a grown man. This is a grown man game. You have a lot of grown men here. You have literally 3 hitting Hall of Famers right now that if they retire tomorrow are going to Hall of Fame in 5 years. And then you also have Kershaw on the bench, who is going to Hall of Fame as well. You have Hall of Famers all over this place and some really damn good players surrounding them. They should not be sucking this bad. So I don't know. Is Max Muncy coming back in a week going to help? I sure hope so. They need something. They need something to where they got to go on a 10, 12 game winning streak to make up for a lot of the shitty losses that they've had here in the last month. Let's see, I mean, he just wants to boom, make an eat. I don't know what the hell these guys are talking about. When I get there, I will eat. What the hell are you guys talking about? Yes, Aaron, Jeff Bagwell was fun to watch. No gloves in the 1800s, LOL. There are some leagues in the early that used to no gloves a while. See, no protective padding. Dodgers need to make moves. I don't think moves are going to matter. I wouldn't have minded another closer, but are you really going to give up 2 of your best prospects for a rental? I think this team is equipped enough to do what they need to do. They just got to get their head out of their ass. I don't think much will be done by these guys at the deadline. I don't either. They did have a small move where they picked up a bunch of prospects. They did a three-way trade with the Reds and the Rays. Dodgers received Adam Serenowski, left-handed pitcher, a right-handed pitcher, Paul Gervais, and then backup catcher, Ben Rodoved. Rays received Fiducia, which, at this point, between Rushing and Will Smith, he probably would have never seen the field on a regular basis, so that makes sense. They also traded right-handed pitcher Brian Van Bell, and then the Reds got Zach Littell. Not guys I'm familiar with, but except for Fiducia, I did watch him play at spring training with my boy Drip Show this last off season. But from all the calculations and all the information I'm hearing, the Dodgers got some good prospects in this deal. How they turn out, we're going to probably find out down the road. They may make one more move before tomorrow, but we'll see. Joe, what's your top 5 what ifs in any sport? An example is, what if Kawhi stayed healthy, or what if D Rose was healthy? It's too broad to say that. How about we do this? I'll pick our teams. What if the Houston Astros didn't cheat in 17? The Dodgers win the World Series. What if Robert Ory's 3-point shot goes in Game 5 in the 2003 semifinals against the Spurs? If he hits that shot, the Lakers go up 3-2, likely close out that series in 6 and 4-peat. What if Magic and Byron Scott do not destroy their hamstrings in 1989 in the 1989 finals? The Lakers went 11-0 in that playoff run in the West, and we're going in for the 3-peat to end the 80s. If Magic and Byron Scott do not get hurt, do they win that finals? We don't really know, but I'd like to say they would. And that decade and Magic's career and Kareem's career would be much different had that happened. What if Worthy doesn't turn the ball over to Henderson? That one is very clear. If he inbounds that ball to a Laker, the Lakers go up 2-0 in Boston. They win the championship in 1984. That when I look back at the 80s and those two series, how different. It's always how different, right? And then the other, I'll throw this one in there. What if Ariza and what if Bynum was healthy for the 2008 finals? So much changes. Let's look at the 80s, for example. If Worthy because that's an easy one to assess, right, Sean? If he just inbounds the ball to a Laker, that game is over. 89, we don't know. Maybe Detroit wins in 7, right? We don't know. But let's look at that one. If Worthy just inbounds that ball, I'm sorry, not inbounds the ball. If he doesn't turn the ball over because it was inbounded. No, was it? He was on the court.
He was on the court.
Okay, yeah. If he gets that ball to a Laker, game is over. Lakers go up 2-0 in Boston, which was astronomically unheard of at that time. You didn't beat Boston in both games to start a series, right? And the Lakers would have. The Lakers win in 84. That means Magic is 3-0 against Larry Bird, 3-0 against the Celtics. Magic has 6 championships. Let's just say 89 turns out to be the way it ended up. Let's just for discussion purposes. Magic has 6 championships in that decade, and overall as well. But in that decade, and Bird only has 2. Kareem has 7 championships now. Magic likely has probably 4 Finals MVPs on top of that, because I think he would have won Finals MVP in 84. How does that change the GOAT discussion?
Changes it dramatically.
A lot of people don't know this. When Magic retired, there was a lot of talk, including myself, that we were talking about Magic being the greatest basketball player at the time. Magic was number 1.
For me, it's January 19th, 2002. Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. There's $1.50 left on the clock, Joe, in the fourth quarter. Eric Allen comes off the edge on a weak blitz, hits Tom Brady. Brady fumbles the ball. Greg Beekert, who was supposed to be jogging down the field, actually fooled the Patriots and Belichick and was just sitting there, and he fell on the ball, Joe. And me and every other single Raider fan got up off the couch. I was just screaming. And then, fuck you, Walt Coleman. You officiated 306 games in your NFL career, and that's the bullshit call you're remembered for. It was a fumble, Joe. Eric Allen came off the edge. Brady tucked the ball in. It was a clear strip.
So they win that game, and they face the Steelers in Pittsburgh. What do you think happens?
I think the Steelers win.
Okay, so in the long run, it probably wouldn't have mattered. Now,
Well, it would have changed the Patriots' history forever.
Does it?
It does.
You don't think they win 5 Super Bowls instead of 6?
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that's that game. If they don't escape that game,
doesn't every team have that though? Every dynasty has some weird thing that happens that created something.
well, not to that degree,
Okay.
because Joe, there's always going to be Joe. You know Al Davis and what his mindset was when that happened. They're fucking screwing me.
Yeah. And that unfortunately, that mentality always hurt Al in the long run. I think he couldn't get
over it.
He couldn't get over it, and I can't remember who it was that said this. It was someone prominent too. But the constant fighting back took a toll over the years.
That was Michael Silver.
There you go, Michael Silver. That's right. You're right. That was it. He said, when you're always fighting, you're not able to focus on the task.
100% true.
And how different would as good as Al was in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, he couldn't adapt to what was coming. He thought,
and that's why for a lot of us, Joe, it's still a fresh wound, because you got to think about it. I remember when the Raiders signed Rich Gannon, I was like, yeah, that's our starting quarterback, Rich Gannon, John Gruden and Rich Gannon, great. Mm-hmm. I was thinking 7-9, 8-8. Rich Gannon won the MVP at 38 years old.
Rich Gannon was taken out for the first playoff game in 1997-98. Marty Schottenheimer, probably the biggest mistake he ever made in his career, and he kind of stamped himself as a very bad decision maker in important games at that point. Rich Gannon was killing it, and then Elvis Gerbaugh was supposed to be the starter that year, got hurt, and by not sticking with Rich Gannon, that's what separates Bill Belichick. And when anybody, I know the Patriots cheated, I know about Deflategate and all that, but when they weren't doing that stuff, they were pretty damn good. And Belichick went off the cuff a little bit by starting Tom Brady when they had just signed Drew Bledsoe. Mm-hmm. Great coaches, great decision makers make the tough calls, and that was a good description. And Rich Gannon seemed to be this guy that no one wanted to give a chance to for some weird reason. But then here comes Al. This is the part with Al that always worked. It always seemed to be able to get the Jim Plunkett's and the Rich Gannons to be the guys that, Or when you look at somebody like Kenny Stabler, who was, and I know it was different back then. Bobby Lane was kind of a man whore too, but I mean, Kenny Stabler was, and not only a man whore, but he was effective, right? Hall of Fame quarterback. But Kenny Stabler, he lived a life of Kenny Stabler lived a life that any virile man would want to live. Seriously. What a life Kenny Stabler. Anybody who gives a damn, go read on Kenny Stabler. Alabama, Oakland, Al Davis, like that whole, he played in an era that was so tailor-made for him in every level. And he was such a nice man. He was so unassuming. And that's what it was with him. Is he was so endearing and so cool, and on top of that, he was clutch. So, I, in a lot of ways, I mean, winning trumps it all. But the problem with Terry Bradshaw is he was too much of a depression case. I don't think I would have ever been that. Now, I don't think I would have lived the lifestyle that Kenny Stabler did. I probably would have been more like a Ken Stabler, more of like a Roger Staubach. But if you ask me, Joe, who would you rather be? Like, being honest, what kind of life would you have want to live? The one that Terry lived, or the one that Ken Stabler lived? I said I would have picked Ken Stabler. I thought he had more fun in his life. It's just that Terry won more, but he was miserable. He was miserable. I don't know why, but he was miserable. Chuck Noll was just too mean to him, and he needed a hug. I would have never needed a hug.
Well, and the headshots he took, Joe, where he got pile drived. I mean, those were some craziness.
Let's see here. What's his sports baby? Play without gloves, you pussies. Jordan yelling that during practice and last dance cracked me up. Yeah. Chaldean, bro, we are not Arab. That is true. Thank you, sir. Joe, I heard you run a pyramid scheme. I do order protein shake from a pyramid scheme company. It's pretty damn good, by the way. I'd like the Stephen Kwan for the Dodgers. Everyone wants him, Aaron. But he's going to be too expensive, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think you stay with Conforto, but you can adjust in the playoffs if you have to. If you have to move Teo to left, move Mookie to right if you have to. There's enough infielders to make things go. Because right now, the one guy I got to give props to, besides Will Smith, obviously, is Miguel Rojas. Miggy has just been raking. Even his outs have been amazing. So I think the Dodgers have enough talent to win this damn thing and to shift things however they need to when the time comes. I just wanted them to have the best record at the very least going into the playoffs. I don't want them to have to start in Philly or start in Detroit if they go to the World Series. I want them to start in LA. They have a better shot there. They've been shitty on the road. They've been really good at home. So that's where I stand on that. What's up, Trayvon? How you doing, man? Joe, you've been looking a lot leaner when I watch back old streams from a year ago. Can you tell people your diet and workout routine? Are you still enjoying burgers in moderation? Yes, I am. Although burgers not as much. I did have a blast just before the show because the wife went and got the kids some Sonic. Not a good idea. I enjoyed it, but I'm like, my body's like, dude, what the hell? You haven't been putting this shit in my body for a while. I've dropped 33 pounds. Dropped 33 pounds since January 6th. And I'm stepping up the job here in the next 3 months. Wanted to kind of get into this lifestyle thing more. But now my body, I'm starting to see veins starting to pop out from my forearms, and it's motivating the shit out of me. So you're going to see this get even tighter. So stay tuned, and I appreciate you noticing. Thank you. It makes me feel so good. People hate Hulk because he supported Trump. Well, that's true too, but Hulk didn't help his cause dropping ERs either. That you can't do that. That's just not going to work. Wisconsin loves their Packers, absolutely. Great show again, guys. You're very entertaining duo. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it, man. I'm still pissed at Joe for giving me bad gambling advice on the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was a bad one, man. I really thought KC was going to three-peat. Sorry, man. I'll get you on the next one. Marcus Morris was knowingly writing bad checks to casinos. See, I know, but I want to know if it was to stick it back to him. That's the only question I have. Lennox Lewis in Ocean's 11 was all. Wasn't that he was fighting? He never fought him in real life. He fought his brother.
Klitschko?
He fought Klitschko's brother, not the one that the Klitschko he fought. I remember that. That's a good movie, by the way. I hope Morris didn't blow all his money on gambling. It looks like he's probably blown, what is it, Sean, $114 million career earnings?
Yeah.
Alcohol and gambling go hand in hand. Definitely would make sense. Like LeBron makes them sign NDAs. Yeah, Chuck Berry, I think I heard stories about started doing that back in the 60s. But how do you do that with a spouse? I don't know. Some of the women are in on Some of the women are in on the wild thing. Correct. Yes.
Some are, but some aren't. Look who said that?
That was Jeremy.
Jeremy, look up Earl Thomas and what his ex-wife found him at a motel. Read up on that.
I agree with that, Trayvon, but he needed to stay healthy, unfortunately. If the Dodgers don't go back-to-back, what will they do? I don't know what they would do, honestly. It's a failure, though. They have to go back-to-back. For this to validate the greatness, the offseason, the team that they have to go back-to-back. As fair or unfair as it is. Lakers fast break predictions on SummerSlam. I'm sorry, Jay, I don't watch wrestling, so I don't know.
Gerald gave
That's Gerald. Gerald knows that shit. Cody wins. Jelly Roll wins. Jelly Roll? CM Punk wins. Wow. Jelly Roll.
You don't like Jelly Roll, Joe?
I don't know what the hell that is. What do you think about the first thing when you wake up right before you sleep?
He's a country artist, Joe.
What do you think about the first thing when you wake up and right before you sleep? What is it? What did Will Ferrell say in Step Brothers? Something and cash and checks. I forgot the first line. Somebody's gonna know. I know Aaron's gonna know. Aaron's gonna know. He's gonna post it. Watch. Is it slapping ass and cash and checks?
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Lakers fast break. If Travis Scott shows up again, I'm going to lose it. Just Travis Scott. I swear they'll put that guy on anything to make money, even though he has no business doing it. Let's see here. Joe, if Ken Griffey didn't get hurt, do you think he has the home run? Absolutely. He would have had 800 home runs. Sorry, Joe, that eating message was supposed to be for my wife. I don't know how the F I accidentally put on our chat. Yeah, good job there, Juan. What the hell are you doing, man? Private stuff, it should be private, not public. You got to fix that.
To eat, so he take.
What if Roy Jones Jr. retired right after the John Ruiz fight? Well, if he had done that, I wouldn't have seen the greatest sports spectacle of my life. Antonio Tarver, Roy Jones Jr. too. That was the same day, Game 6 against the Spurs in 2004. I missed some of the first half, and because the fight ended quick, I was able to watch the second half and see the Lakers beat the Spurs in 6. And at that time, anyone who won that series would win the championship, right, so to speak. Well, we saw what happened there. But when Tarver hit him, it was the single greatest feeling I've ever had in a sporting event. It was absolutely electric. Every single person in attendance stood up at the same time and went, "Oh!" That was it. Roy Jones Jr., who he was, ended that night. Drip show. Pat Riley pushed the guys too hard in practice. Yeah, that's. But the thing is, he pushed them hard before. How come it was okay then? That was always my question. That was always my answer to that. People said the 2004 Lakers were a super team. Do you agree, Joe? Yes. Karl Malone was amazing until he got hurt. And then Gary Payton wasn't too bad either during the regular season, but he clashed with Phil Jackson at the worst time in the finals. But more than that, I think Kobe lost focus in that series, and it cost the Lakers a championship. If Kobe had focused more on winning that series than statistics, I think they win it. And he admitted that, by the way, when he was talking to Shaq about it. What if Chris Paul trade didn't get vetoed? Oh, that's a good one. I can't believe we didn't even think about that. If it didn't, I have full confidence that the Lakers would have.
There would have been a Heat Lakers final.
There would have been a Heat Laker final.
At least one. I'm thinking there'd be at least two.
What if Moises Alou catches the foul ball in Game 6? If he had caught that ball, the Yankees win the World Series in 2003. Josh Beckett was Levon Hernandez in 97. I don't know what it was about those two Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins, Florida at the time they were Florida Marlins teams, but they had Levon Hernandez had some help from the ump in that last game. But those two pitchers decided that they were Bob Gibson at the perfect time against two really good teams. That Cleveland team in 97, hell, that Cleveland team in 95 that lost to Atlanta was, holy shit, was so stacked. But if the Cubs meet the Yankees in the World Series, the Yankees win. I feel very, very confident that the Yankees would have won the World Series. You're right, Joe. If Kobe had two champions over Celtics, he would be people's GOAT. So that's the other thing too. So let's say if I've said this before, and I'll just keep it short. If Kobe wins in 2008, he three-peats for the second time. He wins 3 straight Finals MVPs. He beats the Celtics in both finals. The Lakers surpassed the Celtics after the 2010 championship. Kobe's sitting at 6 titles, beating the Celtics twice, having the Lakers pass. He's now sitting next to Michael Jordan. That one series. That's how sensitive that top spot is. That's why Michael continues to be on top, because he never screwed up in those games. No one cares that he lost in the second round. No one cares that he lost a 7th game in the Eastern Conference Finals. All that matters is he went there 6 times to the biggest stage, and he never lost. And not only did he not lose, he was epic in every single one of them. Kobe needed to be epic at the very least in that 2008 Celtic series.
The only series that you could argue probably his least Finals MVP was 96 against the Sonics. Rodman saved their bacon in the first 4 games. I'll just leave it at that.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
I have a feeling that
looking back, they actually did pretty well on the perimeter, Joe. The Sonics did. They got beat in the paint. That's kind of the reason why they went after Jim McIlvaine, which was one of the worst moves that franchise ever made, was giving Jim McIlvaine money and not giving it to Sean Kemp. That ended it right there. When they signed McIlvaine, they talking about what ifs. Well, what if the Sonics never trade Kemp? Do they go to the finals again?
The thing is with the Sonics during that time, Sean, is they had a lot of bad losses in the playoffs. One
there were team. It's strange, Joe. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But they also were able to, that Western Conference in the mid-90s, there were 4 teams, right? There were 4. There's Houston, Phoenix, Seattle, and Utah. Phoenix could never beat Utah. Barkley could never beat Utah. He never found a way to outplay Karl Malone in the playoffs, Joe. Seattle couldn't beat Houston. because
It was the NFC East in the NBA.
It really was. Now Utah couldn't beat Seattle because Sean Kemp was more athletic than Karl Malone, but they were even. They were so even, right? And then you you throw in Houston, Phoenix. Phoenix gave Seattle problems too. But yeah, you're right. It was the NFC East. Like they all gave each other problems.
And that's always the case in most
And by the way, they all
matchups.
the most finals any one of them ever went to was 2. Houston got to 2 and Utah got to 2.
Looking at the 90s,
Seattle and Phoenix got to 1.
They all got there. This not all of them won, but I don't know. I Drip Show. I'm gonna get to his comment here. I think he made a good point. I think we might need to probably have a what if show on here, and I'm gonna start doing that. So thanks for the heads up again, Drip Show. Got his gear here. We're gonna have to create that, and I think that'd be a fun
to me, Joe. Like they were the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. The Braves in the 90s should have went probably a couple more. You could say the same thing with the Sonics and the Jazz in the 90s. Just a lot of left of what ifs.
That one hurt, Trayvon. That one hurt. The Steelers were they were rolling on that drive, ready to go take the lead after being down 21-3. And Mendenhall, it wasn't all Mendenhall's fault. Our H-back missed Clay Matthews. He missed that block and had a free hit right as the second Mendenhall got that ball. It was like, boom, here Clay Matthews Jr. came in and popped the ball out. Man, that Super Bowl bothered me for at least 2 or 3 years. I wanted them to go back so bad to win it. I can't believe that is the last time they were there too. Of course, I can't believe it's been 14 years since that happened. 14 years. That's how quickly it goes, man. The first Giants-Pats Super Bowl still stings. Seymour was held on the Tyree catch. To be fair, the Pats couldn't stop that pass rush. The Chiefs last year, not this last year, the year before when they won, Nick Bosa was getting held in every major important down in that game. When you look back on it, it was pretty bad. Let's see here.
I will say this though. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. It's hard to call holding on Trent Williams. He's so fucking big. This is 6'8", 360, Joe. It's hard to know when he's really holding or not.
See, I knew Aaron would remember. Vitaly Klitschko. That was the guy he fought, and his brother, Vladimir, was in the movie.
Vladimir became the mayor of a Ukrainian city, right?
Vladimir dated that chick from the Remember the Titans movie. She's like the size of his leg. Vladimir looks like a god.
The petite girl.
Vladimir looks like the real life Ivan Drago in a lot of ways. Aaron said,
yeah, him and Dolph Lundgren really do kind of look alike.
Yeah, so 04 team did start 18-3, and I remember they had a decisive win against the Spurs in a regular season game that year. That was it was a bell ringing for the Spurs. Like, dude, you guys are toast. You guys are toast this year. Malone stays healthy, they win it all. More than 56. I agree with that. Thank you, Scott Williams, for falling on Karl Malone. Piece of shit. Let's see. Oh, we're finally caught up. Let's see. We are Kobe and Shaq, greatest duo ever, in my humble opinion. In my lifetime, in my time watching basketball, yes. Even though Pippen and Jordan won more, we're talking about even duos. Even. At the time. Pippen was
Oh,
never even with
if
Jordan.
if there was a recreation of an NBA Jam game, everyone would pick Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, Kobe and Shaq were the 1-1 combo. Jordan and Pippen were 1-2. You could even say Stockton and Malone were 1-1, but they're not. Malone was never better, in my view, than Shaq, and obviously Stockton was never better than Kobe. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd be like as far as guard big duos go, it's Kobe and Shaq would be one, Magic and Kareem would be number two, and I would put Jerry West and Wilt number three. So those are all Lakers. And it's not homerism, it's just facts.
Customato dying wasn't the issue. You know when Mike Tyson went downhill was when Jim Jacobs died. That guy cared about him. That guy watched over him. Cuss did too. I'm not saying that, but Cuss was an old man. He was going to pass away at some point. But Jim Jacobs' sudden death, that was a killer. Because I think if Jim Jacobs had stayed alive, you wouldn't have had to have Mike would not have had to have dealt with Don King and that whole stuff. But as Mike got older, we might be delusional there. I think Mike Tyson, if you want to put money on it, I think Mike Tyson would have gone the way he went, one way or the other. Just what it is. I think he had a 5-year window that was so astronomically great. He had a career that was very similar to Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was a short prime. It was a shooting star that was so amazing, but it was a small window. Let's see here. They say super teams involve people in being in their prime. People said, I agree with that in a lot of ways, but Malone was very effective in that year, and so was Gary Payton. It was a super team because they were winning. A true super team, you have to say Golden State was in 2017 and 18, because you had three of your all four of your guys in their prime, all four stars on your team in their prime, and you could argue that the Golden State Warriors had three of the best shooters of all time on the same team in their prime. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say if somebody came to me and said Durant is the third greatest shooter of all time behind Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, I'd be like, I could see that. I could see that. He's more of a scorer, but mid-range is pretty amazing. Could shoot from three, can shoot anywhere. All of 1998, most of 1999, most misses most of 2000 due to surgery, and until 2001 when he turned heel. That's Austin's run, huh? Was he ever a heel?
Austin?
Yeah, he wasn't a heel. At least not in the traditional sense.
No, they tried to make him a heel. I remember they tried to make him a heel at the beginning of King of the Ring, but it didn't work.
Do you believe that what these new kids are saying about athletes being better now than back in the day? I actually think athletes were better back then. I rarely see guys like David Robinson. So you tell me, do you think Chet Holmgren is a better athlete than David Robinson or Alonzo Mourning?
No, I don't. I like. How are you going to stop David Robinson today?
You ever seen Shaq's footwork when he was in his prime? A man that giant is not supposed to move like that.
I mean, even if you had his zone, David Robinson is still a good mid-range shooter.
He can hit from mid-range, and so could Zoe, and so could Patrick Ewing. Shaq couldn't because he didn't have to. Rick Smits had a good mid-range as well. David Robinson had probably the greatest set of biceps and shoulders you could have in the NBA.
Yes, I'm by far, and like Dwight's probably second.
Dwight Dwight had the width of a god, and Corey Maggette had proportion.
Yes.
He was proportioned.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
there's
David put it all together. He had balance where those guys didn't.
amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, I just don't. I think they're better shooters now than they were then. But you can't convince me that you wouldn't have that guys in the '90s, '80s, or any of these eras wouldn't have adapted. That's their basketball players. They would have adapted. But as far as physiques are concerned, as far as size, athleticism, I would take David Robinson 500 days times infinity over anything Chet Holmgren would be. Hell, even Wembanyama, I'd still take Shaq, Patrick Ewing, or Alonzo Mourning over Wembanyama, but that's me. With that, man, 2 hours went by quick. I want to thank everyone around the globe for being here. Sean, thank you for being here and conversing on many of things. I want to thank Will Farrell, and I want to thank Drip Show and Aaron and the boys, Jeremy, everybody. You guys, see, this is a perfect example of what we want here. Some of you guys asked some weird questions, but that's okay. You want to ask me if I've dated black women, if I prefer Latinas versus Caucasian, that's fine. That's okay. Just don't be derogatory, right? That's okay. I'm not like, I like those questions. Let's ruffle some feathers a little bit. But we don't want to be derogatory because we love our people. We love all different cultures and looks and stuff like that. We want to make sure of that. So, and that's not, again, I'm not blowing hot smoke up your ass, guys. We have a vast friend area at home, in Australia, in the Philippines, in Canada. We have a lot. It's just what it is. It's what happens when you're on the show.
We're continental.
So, we're continental. We're intercontinental and continental at the same time. But I'm going to take up Drip Show's comment on having a what if. I think the what ifs are a really, really good show. I'll mix it in. Again, there's going to be some things that I'm going to be bringing to the table here in the next few weeks. So kind of keep your eye out on that. For those of you who are listening for the first time, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We're going to be talking a lot more football after tomorrow when we have our next show. And once football starts, it's probably going to be on the regular because football seems to garner a lot of verbiage. And then as baseball starts to wind down into the playoffs, that'll get a little bit hotter. And then, of course, the NBA will be here not long before we think. And then we can kind of have the trifecta. And then maybe I can get into some hockey a little bit towards the beginning of hockey season since I just don't have enough time to see another league. But we'll talk more about that. And yeah, speaking of the Dodgers, please clean up your act for August and September. Get the best record before the year is over, and I'll deal with what's been going on here the first 4 months. Get that out of the way. Hopefully, everybody gets healthy. Snell's going to be back on Saturday to pitch against this whole team, so that's going to be good. But until then, we'll keep you all updated on the next show. LFB will be on tomorrow. We have some things to say to Mr. Daryl Morey, so that's the tease for tomorrow, and it's not going to be nice. I want everyone to have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening. And until next time, we'll see you next time.